It would be a pleasure and a treat to go off on yet another niche armor topic. The terms laminar and lamellar refer to two different armor typologies that could both be roughly summarized as making smaller sheets of hard stuff attached together to form the bulk of your armor rather than making like one giant big plate. Laminar armor concerns overlapping strips of typically metal fastened together to create an overlapping structure. The most famous example of this is probably Lorica segmentata from the Roman Empire. We don't actually have any surviving fully assembled examples of this because the artifacts are so old, but given evidence in art and sculpture as well as a few surviving individual plates, we can make a pretty good guess of how it was put together and what it looked like. Some more recent examples of the laminar style could include the Italian anima style of the 16th and 17th centuries. It's sometimes also called anime style, but for kind of obvious weeby reasons, we generally just call it anima to reduce confusion. This is the inside of the breastplate of the armor of Henry VIII circa 1544 that we just looked at in the previous slide. You can see that it holds the same laminar construction of overlapping horizontal plates, here attached with sliding rivets and leather straps. Meanwhile, lamellar armor is comprised of a bunch of hard little plates, sometimes hardened leather, sometimes metal, sometimes attached together with cords, sometimes sewn en masse to a fabric or leather backing. And together they almost create a protective fabric of their own. We see a bunch of examples of this in the Eastern world, Japanese kozane gusoku being a really good example. Chinese armors taking a very similar tack as well. To some extent, we can also call mail and plate armors lamellar as well. This is an example of Moro armor from the Philippines in about the 18th to 19th century. Mail and plate was all the rage on the Eurasian subcontinent, and you see it everywhere from the Ottoman Empire to India to Eastern Europe, Russia. Now, why would you use one over the other? Because of the labor involved in creating lamellar armors, imagine cutting out all those individual scales, attaching them all to a backing or attaching them all with cord. They were more time-consuming and expensive to produce, however, offered a few key benefits. One being more easily repairable. If one of your little scales falls off, you can easily patch in a new one without having to throw out the whole sheet. Secondly, they offer a little bit more flexibility since each little scale is almost its own articulation, which both has benefits for mobility as a wearer, but also when you're transporting it, they flat pack pretty easily. By contrast, laminar armors are a little easier to put together. It's easier to cut out one long sheet rather than hundreds of little squares. However, depending on materials and construction techniques, for example, are you tying them together with cord or are you riveting them together? Laminar styles, such as the Italian anima style, could be very effective as well. Hope that helps, and I'll just leave you with a little extra eye candy. Laminar, lamellar, laminar, lamellar.